David Aldridge was part of the Warriors Thunder series coverage for TNT last night, and he joins us here again on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, David?
Richard, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm doing fine.
Okay, so what adjective would you use for the Warriors right now? The word desperate's being bandied about already.
Well, I think you lose one game and all of a sudden you're desperate, I guess, in the playoffs. There's some truth to that. But, look, I mean, they haven't lost back-to-back games all year. So they have to definitely clean some things up. I think OKC's playing at a great level right now. But, I still think the Warriors, they didn't play well last night either, and they were ahead by 14, 15 points before they totally collapsed in the second half. So they definitely need to clean some things up. But I still think Golden State's going to win the series. It is going to go 7 games, so I don't have any doubt about that.
So last night, that's what you think got clinched in a way, is a 7-game series between these two teams.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any doubt about that now. I mean, I think OKC's for real. They have hung in there even when they won. Think about it. They won last night, and Durant was not good. I mean, he was terrible, and they won pretty convincingly in the fourth quarter. So I'm sure their confidence level is very high. And they've come into Oakland and beaten a team that's lost, 2 games all year at home, So they've got to feel like they really have a chance. But I have no doubt in my mind that Golden State can and will win a game in Oklahoma City as well. That's why I think it'll go 7.
So what has Oklahoma City done to button up their fourth quarter woes, David?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, number one, they're not turning the ball over like they were during the regular season. I mean, they had a ton of turnovers in the fourth quarters where they just didn't execute. They didn't get good shots. Last night, they got good shots. Now, Durant missed a bunch. I mean, he had a couple of wide open looks in the mid post where he's normally lethal, and he just missed. I mean, he was just having a bad night shooting. But they got good looks, and they just missed. But they made enough of them, and defensively, I thought they did a great job kind of getting Golden State out of what they normally like to do. Their length is so, it's such a weapon that they use on the defensive end. And the fact of the matter, it was the first time I saw Golden State go to the lineup of death and it not really impact the game. I just think the length of the Warriors, of the Thunder, really kept them from moving the ball the way they like to move the ball. And they did a great job in the screen roll. I mean, they did a great job covering that and attacking it.
David Aldridge from Turner and NBA.com joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Now, look, on the NFL Network, after big games, we've had Dean Blandino, the VP of officiating, join us live on NFL Network. And then last night, NBA TV had Joe Borgia, who is Dean's, compatriots.
Equivalent.
Yes, equivalent for the association, join him for yet another difficult call, blown call, however you want to call it, however you want to couch it, where Westbrook clearly traveled and the officials didn't call it. So we now have the 2-minute reports that come out day after, and now we've got the head of officials coming on after a game. Do we take this how do we view the NBA's approach to this whole thing, David? What do you think?
Well, obviously there's two schools of thought on it. Adam Silver was at the game last week where Curry got his MVP, and so we were talking to him before the game, and he is just determined to be as transparent as possible when it comes to officiating calls. So, they believe that it's just better to get things like this out there instead of letting them marinate and kind of, be kind of a caustic kind of effect on fans, where fans start thinking about conspiracies and all this sort of nonsense. Instead of allowing that to happen, if you just come out and say, you know what, we blew the call, then that takes a lot of steam out of that kind of conspiracy train. And so that's what they feel is more important than the comfort of their officials. And there's no question that the officials don't like it, Rich. I mean, they're very sensitive to the idea of of them publicly being criticized for missing a call. But I tend to agree with the league on this. I just think it's more important because I've been around a long time, as you have, and you know how people react, especially in the playoffs, to a bad call. The automatic reaction is, well, the league wants X team to win, so they made that call. You know, it doesn't have to be logical or pass any fact checks. That's just people reacting. So if you come out immediately, as the league did last night, through Jewel Borgia and say, yeah, we blew the call, a lot of people stop that. And I think that's more important than the officials feeling like the league is protecting them in some way. They blew the call. Everybody saw it. They blew the call. And if you come out and say it, I think that helps.
Well, at some point, the kudos that you receive for tamping down any conspiracy theorists get drowned out by the fact that you're doing it all the time. It's just now 3 times in 6 games for the Thunder. And by the way, it's benefited the Thunder 3 times out of 6 games now. Is this still a knee-jerk to the Tim Donaghy situation from years ago?
Oh yeah, well, maybe, I'm sure that's part of it. Sure, I'm sure that's part of it. But I think there's been an emphasis, especially again under Adam Silver, to be as transparent as possible in as many things as possible. So this is one example of them really, I think, going above and beyond to let people know that, hey, when we make mistakes, we need to own up to them, and it will make the officials better. I mean, I think, you know, people will and do keep track of these things, so they'll know within, you know, a few months which officials tend to be involved in these missed calls in the last 2 minutes. The one question I would have about the L2Ms and all these sorts of things is, and I think players have mentioned this as well, you know, there are calls in the first 46 minutes of exact games too. You know, so you obviously can't have a report that's, you know, 75 pages long, but you kind of are ignoring the calls in the first 46 minutes that also have an impact on the games. So that's the trade-off, I think, with this. But at least it's something. I think it's better than doing nothing.
David Aldridge, part of Turner's coverage of the Western Conference Finals, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's the key in the Eastern Conference Finals, or there really isn't one, that the Cavs are going to mop the floor with the Raptors? What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, I think the only chance that Toronto has is that lineup that they have done out of necessity, with Valanciunas being out, with Biyombo at center and Patterson at the power forward. They have to play even better than they played against Miami. They played pretty well against Miami because Cleveland has found a lineup that is lethal with Fry and Love up front and LeBron at the 3. I mean, their numbers are off the charts good at both ends, offensively and defensively. And so when they go to that lineup, Toronto's got to have a counter, and so that means Biyombo's got to play out of his mind. I think he's the one chance they have of staying in that series is that lineup. He and Patterson have to play, you know, an enormously good series for Toronto to have a chance.
Why did Larry Bird hire Nate McMillan, David?
I think comfort more than anything else. I think Larry, you know, he knows Nate. He likes Nate very much. I was a little surprised because Nate's teams in Portland and Seattle were not especially great offensive teams, and Larry seems to be obsessed with the idea of the Pacers being better offensively and playing with more pace. That is not something that Nate's teams did. Now, maybe they will now. Maybe he's on board with the revolution, but that's not what they did. They were good defensively many years, but they were not great offensive teams. But we'll see. I think the other reason is that Paul George likes Nate McMillan very much, and this will help keep Paul George happy and help keep him in town after 2018 when he can opt out. So I think that was the other reason.
So Phil Jackson's hiring process for the New York Knicks, what adjective would you use to describe this one, David? It is unknowable, I think, is the adjective. I have no idea what Phil's doing. I don't think anybody knows what Phil is doing. Maybe he likes it that way. But I don't understand what he is doing at all.
you know, I think you can hire somebody that believes in utilizing parts of your system. I mean, I think if you look at what Golden State does with Steve Kerr, I mean, they don't run the triangle, but they certainly have an offense that relies on ball movement, which is all really the triangle or any offense is designed to do, is to move the ball. So to be, I think, kind of myopically wedded to the triangle is just, that doesn't make any sense to me. So there's so many good coaches out there that I'm just surprised. Now, maybe he'll wind up hiring Vogel or somebody like that, but really, I have no idea what Phil's doing. And I think there's a lot of guys who are now off the table that may have been on the table if they had been a little bit more aggressive about getting somebody.
David Aldridge, I want you to ask, can you ask the poll question of David, Chris Brockman, before we send him on his way?
Yeah, David, who wins the NBA championship, the Warriors or the field?
What do you got?
Well, I'm going to stick with the team that wins 73-9 until they lose 4 games. So I think the Warriors, I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll play with a little more edge in this series. They're going to have to beat Oklahoma City. I think if it is Golden State Cleveland, it's going to be a hell of a finals. And it wouldn't shock me if Cleveland won, but I would still go with Golden State. They've just been too good. They've met too many challenges this year for me to think that they can't do it again.
David, thanks for the time. We really appreciate it.
Rich, always a pleasure, man.
Likewise. At Aldridge TNT on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.